What is up, everybody? It is the first Friday in March, which means I'm 39. Welcome, everybody, to DADS, not always on wrestling here on the Jeff Meacham Network, and if we get the uploads properly associated, the Constantine Studios. I am, of course, the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham. Usually, I get the man, the myth, the legend intro from this guy, but he's wearing this shirt, so I'm giving it to him today. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He is the renegade, JJ Williams. And as I said, Jay, it's my birthday week.
Yes.
But it's Friday.
One more year till the big 4-0.
As it's Friday, y'all know by now, if you're watching this in real time at 7 o'clock Eastern, it's Friday. We ain't got no kids. We ain't got no jobs outside of here right now. And y'all ain't got shit to do anyway. It's Friday afternoon. So sit back and enjoy the latest entry from us crazy people, the dads, always on wrestling, as we talk about a subject that people are probably going to go, what in the hell? Where did this crazy germ idea come out of your head, Meacham? Seriously. There is a method to the madness. Yes. I don't have the graphic ready right now, but I will put it in post because that's what I do. The reason we're doing our top 10 special guest referees today is because today is the anniversary of the birth of one of the most notorious referees in professional wrestling, especially WWE, because that's where he worked, history. Dangerous Danny Davis. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you were a fan of wrestling in the 80s and late 80s, and even if you weren't, if you discovered him on, tape later, if you will.
Yeah. VHS, DVD, the WWE Network, Peacock.
Danny is every bit worthy of a subject based on him because before Nick Patrick came around and threw up the Wolfpack, for life stuff in 1996 and 97, Danny Davis was dressing in the most god-awful striped outfit in the history of the wrestling business at WrestleMania 3 as a heel referee. So God bless Danny for that. We applaud that.
Yeah, I got to know, who would win in a match as far as the most dastardly referee? Would it be Danny or would it be Nick Patrick?
Because it would be Nick.
Nick Patrick was so notorious that back in the LBWA, we had a referee that we named Pick Natrick.
That's right.
As a play and a playoff of Nick Patrick.
That's right. And that guy was a mucker feather too. So, yeah.
It's just one of those things Danny Davis actually had some legit matches.
He did.
Nick Patrick had some bullshit matches. But Danny Davis actually had a couple legit matches, So I don't know. I tend to lean more towards Danny.
Okay, it depends. If we're talking about them being dastardly, you have to remember Danny had, a decent little, move set for lack of a better term, and he was in a WrestleMania 4 Battle Royal. So there's no telling, and he has a victory at WrestleMania on his resume. So there is that. Mm-hmm. But Nick Patrick was tough as nails. I don't know if he still is. I haven't, talked to Nick in a while, and he's literally the product of an assassin. So, he's tough as they come, and he's definitely evil as they come. So it would be it'd be one of those Rocky Balboa versus Mason the Lion Dixon computer fights where it's and people are going, what the hell are you talking about? Muhammad Ali and, whatever, whether the original computer fight was, whatever. It'd be one of those, I like to see them actually program their move sets into 2K22 and turn them loose, see what happens. And hey,
and then I think for a match of this magnitude, we'd have to have Earl Hebner as the referee and then have him get bumped and have Dave Hebner take over.
Or
vice versa.
Well, you have Earl, and then, Earl tries to screw, Danny Davis, and Dave goes, no, you can't. And then he does anyway. So it's all just referee screwing, and it's all a thing. So yeah, and especially
and if you get it. God damn it.
That's right. And you know what?
You're on the right channel this week.
That's right. God bless the Hebner boys. We got to see them at RVD store a few times, and we love the Hebner boys. But that's not why we're here entirely. I mean, Earl and Dave Hebner are not special guest referees, nor is Nick Patrick, nor even is Danny Davis. He was an actual licensed referee, and he was suspended for life plus 10 years for about 3 years. But hey, it worked out. So and he's back on TV and everything's okay. But so I'm gonna dive him out a little bit here. He's convinced his list is weak.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why I feel like my list is weak.
Okay.
Okay. As we lead into my introduction and me taking over the show for my list, since it is a wrestling week and I do start. I feel like my list is weak because it's all WWF, WWE. Okay.
Me too.
That's number one.
Me too.
Number two, I feel like it's weak because it's all wrestlers as special guest referees, because I couldn't really think of any major, with the exception of like Tyson, who was the guest enforcer, not the guest referee, despite the fact that he made the 3 count. But I couldn't think of any like real celebrities guest referees to throw into the list. You know, while researching, I did come across a couple matches for AEW that had guest referees. Arn Anderson's been a guest referee, but I don't watch AEW on a regular.
Right.
Because I'm not a big watch the current product guy. If my roommates have AEW on and I walk by and I see something, sometimes I'll pull up a chair and I'll watch the rest of Rampage, Dynamite, whatever it is they're watching at that moment.
Of course.
But I don't seek it out.
No.
I will acknowledge, okay, before I get to that part, I couldn't think of any real WCW or ECW special guest referees.
There's not a whole lot to go around, to be fair. So
you know, and then the one I could remember from TNA, I just couldn't find a good match graphic styled image, you know, like they put up for the pay-per-views.
Okay.
That's where all my images come from. You're not going to get pictures of them in the match, in the stripes. They're all match graphic images.
Okay. See, all right. Well,
so,
let me.
The one guy I could come up from TNA definitely gets an honorable mention from me, and that's Ricky Steamboat.
Oh yeah, jeez.
From the initial NWA TNA 1 pay-per-view. But yeah, so that's why I feel like my list is
okay. Well,
so
let me put your fears to bed here.
Okay.
My entire list is WWE also.
Okay.
WWF, WWE, but it is still the same company, right?
Yeah.
So only one is a didn't appear all the time personality.
Okay.
From outside the WWE. As far as match graphic pictures go, I legitimately used 1 to 2 match, well, 4 if you count one person, but you know, and honestly, I copped out on a couple of mine because a couple of mine are ties. So, you know, don't feel bad, brother. You got a WWE list, so do I.
Okay.
You're good.
I feel a little bit better that the professor doesn't have all this other outside stuff.
And yes, I did consider Tyson because he did make the 3 count to start off arguably the biggest boom in the history of the business, but he was a guest enforcer by title.
Yes.
He wasn't a referee until that 3 count was made.
Yes.
So, and as far as Ricky Steamboat, as far as using match graphics, dude, if you want to put Ricky Steamboat on your list and you have a picture of him with the 10 pounds of gold at that pay-per-view, just use it. I mean, because Ricky definitely was a major, I mean, you figure he crowned Ken Shamrock NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and he crowned AJ Styles the first X Division champion. That's a major guest referee moment in and of its damn self. So, you know, not because of Ricky Steamboat doing it, just because AJ freaking Styles becoming the first X Division champion. Ricky just hadn't had the stripes on. So, you're good, dude. Totally good.
All right. I feel a little bit better then. I feel a little bit better then, you know. Yes. Hopefully then my list will come off as much better than I anticipated.
Yes. Don't mucker further yourself out before you get going, brother.
And you know, you just mentioned the name Ken Shamrock, and I completely spaced on him as the Mania 13 referee. So that definitely gets an honorable mention from me as well.
Me too, because I forgot too. So there you go.
Because goddamn, was that not a great match?
Yes,
and he was a solid referee in that. Now, the name Ken Shamrock will come up a little bit later in the show on my end, but as far as him as the referee, completely spaced about that one.
Very good.
So without any further ado, Mr. Meacham, I will take over officially now And I'm going to start with my number 10. This match is at number 10 only because it's the match that at the time nobody wanted to see happen. As a matter of fact, a couple weeks later, WWF retconned this shit and act like it never happened. Vengeance, Matt versus Jeff Hardy, Lita is the referee.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that was very disjointed, that match.
Yeah, I mean, it just came at a wrong time. Now, if that match had came, a couple years down the road when they were starting to really break off with the draft anyway,
right,
and Jeff was getting his ladder match against The Undertaker, the Badass, and Matt was doing his V1 gimmick, and then you had Lita doing the referee. Okay, maybe it would have made a little bit more sense. But at that time, Team Extreme was the hottest thing, not named Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock. I said it, I mean it.
Wow.
Think about it. Think about all the merch those guys were selling.
True.
They were up there in that echelon. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch their matches and listen to the pops they were getting.
Hell, go back to earlier that year when you had Austin literally beat the dog out of all three of them, including Lita, with a steel chair on Monday Night Raw, and having every freaking PC censor go at the beating the crap out of a woman with a chair. The Team Extreme was over like Rover. I'm not even going to deny that. And you're right. The match itself is disjointed. It's off.
Yeah.
The whole thing post Survivor Series with the breakup and the whatever, it was off. But I will say this for you. Lee looks goddamn good in that referee outfit.
Oh yeah. Goddamn.
I mean, look at this. Woo! Yeah, baby.
I mean, I've always been a Lita fanatic.
Oh,
I was Team Lita over Team Trish. And that blows a lot of people away because they think of Trish Stratus. They look at her body. They think of this goddess-like figure. And don't get me wrong, Trish totally is. Trish got a referee action figure made after her, okay?
We'll be seeing that later, by the way.
But Lita was my girl because she was different.
Yes.
Dare I say, she was the forerunner to the women's revolution before the women's revolution was even a thing.
I definitely think the ladies of that era, and I mean the post Alliance era, going into Ruthless Aggression, Lita, Trish, even Joni prior to her leaving the company, that group of women, again, they got all the credit in the world when the revolution kicked off, but they
didn't get the credit that they deserved at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at that point, WWE was still into tits and ass.
Yeah. You figure most of Trish's early title defenses, prior to Jazz really stepping up her game and being a challenger, they made a huge deal out of her being on the debut edition of Velocity, defending against Stacy Keibler in a bra and panties match on Saturday night. Woohoo! It's like, no. Like, granted, great to look at, both of them in bras and panties.
Oh yeah,
ourselves. I mean, we're grown ass man. We ain't gonna lie about it, but looking back, it's like it's not a good look publicly for the company. And those women, especially Trish, obviously, and Lita now. I mean, hell, Lita was involved in storylines here going into the Royal Rumble month and a half ago. So, and she's, for all we know, she's still involved now. Again, we're taping ahead of time, kids. But Lita is one of those special talents where had she not got so banged up so quickly in her career, I think she could have gone a lot longer than she actually did. And the fact that this comes on your list because she's your girl is a great example of how many things she could do if given the opportunity. Granted, she's special referee later, and she definitely slutted it up during the rated R era, but
And she was commentator for a while there where she had her broken neck.
Exactly.
She was on Sunday Night Heat every week doing commentary.
Now, baby, that's it. Yep. Before they ruined our lives with putting out Jonathan Coachman, we had Lita on the commentary, and that was okay. So, love you, Coach. Maybe.
So there we go. Now my number
See,
9,
good start.
number
I'm
8,
good with that one.
my number 9, number 8, number 7, you're going to sense a very common thread through all these. So I'm just going to kind of boom, 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 because if I know Meacham like I think I know Meacham, his segment going to go long.
Oh, boy.
Long forever.
I was going to say, you got there before I did. There you
go. So we're going to hit these next 3 pretty fast and furious, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about them a little.
Furious, is it Dwayne?
But number 9, Stephanie McMahon. Number 8, Shane O'Mac. And number 7, Vinnie Mac.
Okay.
You got to get the McMahons in there. I mean,
yeah, without question.
You just have to. In the realm of special guest referees, you've got to get them in there. Now, I don't recall Stephanie doing it as often as Vince and Shane, which is why she's the lowest ranked out of all of them.
Okay.
But you figure this match right here specifically.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was so good, and she was so good in her role within the match.
And she looked goddamn good, too.
Yeah. I'm trying to not make it where every female referee that we talk about is, she looked good at the same time.
Well, I'm glad you're being proper. I'm not.
Because she's Stephanie McMahon.
I know.
And it was our era Stephanie McMahon.
Oh,
not authority Stephanie McMahon.
No, it was our
mother of kids Stephanie McMahon. No. It was the just turned heel,
again,
dirty, disgusting, brutal, bottom feeding trash bag hoe Stephanie McMahon.
That's right.
The let the boobies hit the floor Stephanie McMahon, as Jericho put it.
Today's episode brought to you by Chris Jericho.
Shano.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, this one in particular is good.
I really wanted to get an image from the screw job at Survivor Series Deadly Game.
Oh man, it's so good.
But again, he wasn't announced as the referee, I don't think, so he wasn't in the match graphic. Plus, there wasn't really a match graphic because they didn't want to announce ahead of time who the finals were going to be. Yeah. So, I couldn't really go there. I did
at moment.
One point, I had a picture of Vince and Shane raising up Rocky's arms with the belt on his shoulder and Shane in the stripes. And I thought about using that, but since I was going with match graphics, that's why I went with this one. I mean, again, you've got every McMahon minus Linda in this image. Yeah. So,
and is this not that era in a freaking nutshell right here? I mean,
right?
Austin, Rock, Hunter, and the McMahons. There it is. There's your show, kids.
Pretty much. And then good old Vinnie Mac. I mean, and how heavily stacked were the odds against Austin in this match?
Jesus Christ.
Guest ring announcer Pat Patterson. Guest timekeeper Jerry Briscoe. Guest referee McMahon. Hand-picked assassin Dude Love to go up against his former tag team champion partner, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Exactly.
Dare we say at the height of Austin Mania, because it had just kicked off at Mania, and I always thought it was odd that the first contender that they gave Austin coming out of all that was Foley. Not that Foley wasn't worthy, but I always thought that was odd that he was the first contender in that era.
Well, and again, not to deviate too far into the weeds here, but if you read Mick's first book, and if you haven't read Mick's first book in 23 years, you need to read that shit by now, y'all, for real.
It's probably been about 23 or 20 years since I read it last, but
and if you haven't read it by now, you can probably find it in the bottom of the bin. That's probably about $2.30 at this point. Bastards.
It might pop up at Dollar Tree.
This is very true, which is so sad. Because it's so good. But he mentioned in that, when he and Terry had that match with the Outlaws where the DX Army formed, and the crowd was told that Austin was coming out, so don't leave everybody just because the show was over, that C was planted in Mick's head. This is messed up. Terry and I are laying here in tatters, and they're cheering for Steve. And when that seed got planted in Mick's head, Mick went backstage and went, "Do you hear that? Cactus Jack should be annoyed by that. He should be put off by that and go into crazy cactus mode." And then Mick went further and went, "Now, you know what? Cactus wouldn't be a bitch about it, but Dude Love wouldn't care." So that's why that happened. In a very short version of the story is what happened. So,
but yeah, I mean, the McMahon family,
I know.
I very easily could have lumped them into one, but I felt that wasn't fair to them on their own merits.
No.
Especially when you figure all three of them have been champions in the company.
Yes.
So they deserved their own spots on the list.
Yes. For the record, I chuckled because it's not the last time you're going to see those guys today.
I don't doubt it. This is one of those lists where I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of the same. It's just a matter of where they lie.
Yeah. I am surprised at myself I didn't pick Lita, but like you said, that match was just so the heck that I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. No. It was one of the first ones I thought of, to be honest, but again, that's why it was number 10. The match was so bad. Nobody wanted it. The brothers didn't want to do it. That's why it was so bad.
Well, the thing is, the match in and of itself's not bad. It's just the story was just such a train wreck. It was just like, okay, you know, had that match come off like their Extreme Rules match the month after WrestleMania, good to go.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So
number 6 on my list, almost at the halfway point, and it's the last time you're going to see a female as a guest referee. So let's go ahead and get out the whole, damn, she looked good in them stripes.
Yes. Me just up ogling now. Oh, yeah. I see. I forgot about this one, too. Jesus.
I mean, 2 of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Of all time.
Oh, yeah.
In the ring against each other.
Yep. With
AJ Lee as the guest referee. I mean, and just the look in her eyes in that image, you know, it's so perfect.
Yes.
Because I'm sorry for the fans of ours that are too young for this. I'm just going to throw this out there. You can't tell by that look in her eyes if she's ready to gut them both like a tauntaun or jump both their bones.
Right. Or both.
But damn.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't go, oh, she's going to try. I'm like, that look. She's got that evil Stephanie smile. Like, oh, man, here we go. Shit's about to go down. Yeah. One way or the other. Yeah. And when you think about it, looking back, you know, God, 10 years. God damn. I mean, that's her husband on the one side.
Yeah, now.
It's like, it's just weird.
It is.
But it worked.
It did. It
so
was good.
And she was so good. Because remember, you know, when we met AJ, you and I at Access the previous year, she was still, you know, little goody two shoes, NXT contestant AJ, fresh off the indies, her and her buddy Caitlin doing the buddy thing.
Yeah, the Chick Busters.
Thank you, Chick Busters. I didn't remember the damn name. Little did either of us know at the time what lied beneath. God damn.
Which makes it so much better when that switch gets flipped in them.
Yeah. And when you read her book, again, another book I can't recommend enough. I got that when it came out. I loved it. I loved it so much that when Punk signed the autograph for me to my dad, I use his autograph as the bookmark of the book. That's how much I love that whole thing. You realize that she struggled with legitimate mental health stuff her whole life, and she, much like they tell everybody in wrestling, it's themselves just dialed up to a degree where you're gonna get emotionally invested.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great wrestling, which is why WoW hired her as executive producer, because she's got that in her head. She's got that it factor about presenting wrestling.
Now, the next 5, the top half of my list, if you will,
okay,
are the ones that I feel the best about.
Okay, good.
You know, number 5 is going to surprise some people, because I think there's a lot of people that forget about this. But the match and the angle at the time was such a hot ticket angle, smack dab in the peak Attitude Era. Okay. I mentioned I was going to bring up Shamrock again.
Yes.
Shamrock versus Val Venus with badass Billy Gunn as the guest referee from the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Wow. I did not even consider this at all. Wow.
This match was so good with the story because you had Val Venus, the porn star, banging Ryan Shamrock, the kayfabe sister of Ken.
Yep.
You had Billy in the hunt of all of it, trying to get the IC title. And the whole three-way tension of the feud was so good.
Yes.
And this was mid-card action, folks. This very easily could have been main event storyline material. Triple H, Stephanie, Kurt Angle. But this was the IC title, baby. This was the workhorse title that Shamrock had a death grip on ever since he won the tournament.
Yes.
And go back, do yourselves a favor, especially all of you, as we like to call you, C Nation era fans.
You youngins.
Or all you now, Roman Reigns head of the table fans, now that Cena's kind of out of it for a while. Do yourselves a favor, go to Peacock, look up the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, watch this match.
There's only one of those. So
yeah. It's so good. Great storytelling. Vince Russo creatively at his best, I think. And Vince Russo gets crapped on so much by modern era fans.
He does.
This was peak Russo, though.
I dare say that whole show gets overlooked because you figure we're on the road to Philly and Mania, and we're trying to get to Austin Rock. But man, you had Austin McMahon in the cage. You had the last man standing.
Paul White.
With the debut of Paul White at the end of that match, you had Foley and Rock and the last man standing. You had this match. This card, again, it gets so overlooked, and I'll never understand why, because it's such a damn good show. And this match, again, you mentioned this match could main event Raw or SmackDown easily. Had it not been the era of Austin McMahon, Rock, and Foley, it could have made event in this damn pay-per-view. I mean, it was that. The story was that intense because you've got family drama, you've got, jilted lovers, you've got crazy brothers trying to protect family, and then you got Billy Gunn just being an ass because he wants the damn IC championship, and that's okay.
This is also the pay-per-view where Hardcore Holly and Al Snow fought in the Mississippi River for the hardcore title.
This show is so good, and it's so batshit crazy. The whole thing.
It is. Like you said, it is underrated because it was the only St. Valentine's Day Massacre. It wasn't No Way Out.
Nope.
It wasn't Elimination Chamber. It wasn't one of the other millions of titles that has history behind it. Backlash, Vengeance, Armageddon, Fully Loaded, etc.
Nope.
It was a one-off. And it gets forgotten.
And consider two things about the show before I let you move on. Like it's my turn. This show took place in Memphis, which led to the debut of the SmackDown Hotel song. If you think about that. And number two, I don't care what freaking historians say. This show taking place when it took place with the people involved was a big reason, in my opinion, why NBC went with the WCW special going, maybe not against this show. And ultimately shelved their projected special with WCW and put another freaking notch on Bischoff's heart meter. Poor bastard.
Yeah. But this was just another one of those. I said, like we said, the review itself doesn't get talked about, but this match. Definitely forgotten about, because you think about WWE and their image today. Val Venus ain't getting mentioned.
Especially now.
Ken Shamrock, with all of his issues and trauma, ain't really getting mentioned.
And he and the company aren't exactly on good terms anyway, so.
Yeah. And then Billy Gunn is in AEW now, the Gun Club.
Yeah. Billy Gunn's Mr. Cox, so we don't want to talk about him.
Billy Gunn is like Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno.
You go from Mr. Cock on the cruise to a Disney reference. That was the weirdest transition of the history of this channel. Jiminy crickets. Next match, please.
Next match, okay? You call for it. Here we go. Number 4. John Cena. How can you do 25 minutes of a match with a man you can't even see?
That's who you're referring to. I didn't see who you're talking about, so I was confused. I'm sorry about that.
Ha 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 ha. We both had to get the joke in, but yes, John Cena.
I never make bad jokes. I almost never make bad jokes. Let me not get shit on too much for that one. Jeez.
Okay.
Damn.
I know you're closer than I am, but
I was gonna say shit.
It is what it is. We love you, John.
We do.
He's been guest referee a couple different times, but I'd say that's probably like one of the biggest ones because it was kind of the final blow in the Nexus coffin.
I was gonna say if SummerSlam was the death, this is the wake. It just derailed from here.
And I still will give him shit to this day for that because there's no reason Super Cena should have won at SummerSlam. It was 2 or 3 on 1 at the end there. There is no reason he should have been able to overcome those odds.
But as we've both found out, Super Cena was not always super booking.
I know, but still. I feel like he had enough stroke that he could have been able to say, they should get the victory here. I can get it back down the road.
Possible.
Because the Nexus was still way too fresh. There was so much mileage in that engine to get.
Agreed.
And it went out like a Pinto, like for real.
Damn. When you think about it, though, had Barrett and the Nexus gotten over, and let's say Barrett had become champion here, we would have no beginning of the era of awesomeness the next night. So again, you pull that thread.
Miz could have still cashed in on Barrett,
but
and then Miz would have gotten a babyface pop.
Well, okay, but if the Nexus remains strong as they did, would that chicken shit Miz cash in on Barrett at that point? No way. Miz is no. And would Miz have done it getting babyface pop? You and I both know Mike loves that heat, so it wouldn't happen. So again, you pull that one thread and butterfly effect is a thing. So I don't necessarily condone the complete destruction of the Nexus within a few months, but if I get the Miz being champion for all that time, I'll go ahead and sacrifice the black and gold. I will. But by the same token, the fact that the Miz was the freaking third party in his own championship match was mega bullshit. I was right with Punk on that one. I'm like, no. And Punk didn't even like Miz, but he's like, no. So, again, just a lot of things are involved in that one graphic you put up where you can't even see the guy in the middle. So there you go. Just a whole lot of shit going on there.
There you go. We now come to my top 3. And we'll do these one at a time, but I personally feel that every referee in these next 3 has a fair argument for being number 1. Okay. It was really hard for me to pick which one of these to go with number 1, but once I get there, I think you'll understand why I picked what I picked.
Fair enough.
Okay. So for number 3, you want to talk about all the pieces of the last one that was going on. This man's been referee a few times, but you want to talk about a lot of pieces?
Oh, geez.
It's a lot of pieces right there.
Yeah. Hair pieces alone.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake, guest referee. Yeah, I could have picked the Goldberg Lesnar from WrestleMania 20.
No.
I could have picked quite a few different graphics, but this right here you know, love them or hate them, this was one of the final, I feel, pieces in the Austin McMahon feud, because Austin got to assist in McMahon losing that hair.
The craziest thing from that night, besides the Donald actually out-crapping Linda McMahon's undertaking, which is such a task, God, but he pulled it off. He did it.
Or the first McMahon stunner. Because Vince's first stunner was god-awful, too.
This is very true. This is very true. It's so funny. They did an interview with Steve a few months back, and he said the one stunner he would take back is Linda's, because he loved Linda so much he didn't want to do it, and it came off so shitty. So it's like, I totally get that. But yeah, the crazy thing is that besides the stunner, the worst thing is we found out both their hair were actually their real hair.
Mm-hmm.
Vince got the toupee joke for so many years, we almost took it as canon, but it wasn't. It was actually his own hair.
Yep.
And it was a pair of bald guys and a guy with arguably the worst hair in presidential history making McMahon bald. It's a terrible irony of history. Awful. Just awful.
Yeah.
Poor Vince. What are you gonna
do? It's kind of funny. We always tell people we film this in advance. So we're still the end of January here, folks. Right. Rumble hasn't even happened yet, just so you know.
Right.
But in our house the other day, one of the roommates was channel hopping, and I guess he came on a WWE themed channel, not the network, but they were showing the Rumble from 2008.
Oh, geez.
Was Cena's glorious number 30 return.
Man.
And, he was kind of looking at all the people in the ring and everything. And I was like, you want to know how old this match is? Umaga's in it. He's dead now.
Yeah. Yeah. He died 2 years later.
He was like, what? For real? Yeah. Like, he didn't know because he had been out of it for a minute. But just looking at those guys in there, looking at Carlito beating the crap out of Batista.
Yeah.
Pre-Drax the Destroyer Batista.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing guys like Umaga and Big Daddy V.
Roddy, Jimmy, they're both in there too. So,
but
it's that Rumble is one of my favorite Rumbles. Again, I'm biased, but to this day, when I'm doing my Rumble binge in January, and that 30 countdown hits and that music hits, I feel the chills in the garden to this day. Because that place done near popped its roof off, because there was no damn good reason he should have been back in January from an October pec tear. That was damn ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he's Super Cena, so of course he came back. But yeah, Stone Cold refereeing this match was definitely his biggest guest referee moment. I mean, like you said, you talk about the Rumble not happening yet. We could be looking at the guy in this match here who was ECW champion. By the time this airs, he could be going into WrestleMania as the WWE champion again. We don't know what's going to happen this Sunday. So, again, full disclosure. And yes, unfortunately, Umaga's left us, but I'll tell you what, Umaga's family is still very much involved.
Oh, yeah.
So, you figure Lashley and his opponent's bloodline, pun intended, very much involved. Vince still on TV to this day. Jesus Christ. Austin's got the Broken Skull session, so we see him at least once a month.
Yeah.
And then there's Mr. Twitterman, who's still hanging around if you look hard enough for him. All these people are still relevant in one way or another.
Yep.
So there you go. But yeah, Steve definitely had a great moment here. Again, the stunner notwithstanding, because damn was that bad. Yeah. But everything else about this match just hit on point, and a big part of that was because Steve was there.
Exactly. Now, if my top three, you could really argue any of them being number one, then my number two and number one are just even more so neck and neck if you figure Austin was three.
Right?
Number two, the Mixter. The one that I kept finding was Vince versus Shane at Mania for Mania 17 with Foley as the ref.
Yes, sir.
But I wanted to go with something a little bit deeper.
Obscure is good. Obscurity is great. I love that. That's awesome.
And again, dude, you think about Hunter and Angle. I mean, we had it earlier,
but this is 2 years after that. Yeah. This one's 2 years before. I mean, is what I was trying to say. Yeah. Think about it, Jay. This is Unforgiven 2000. Triple H goes in here as the de facto babyface because Angle's macking on his wife, which is a no-no. Obviously, for an Olympic gold medalist like he was, an American hero. Okay. But in less than 1 month's time, we found out Triple H was anything but a babyface. Number one. That night, Austin returned and started that storyline of Rikishi did it for The Rock, for the people, and I did it for Hunter because he got paid. Again, we're talking about the freaking bloodline again. The damn Manawahi's just going to be on this show forever. That's okay. And then you've got, Commissioner Foley, who, was, goofy, off-beaten friends with Kurt Angle, but it's like, dude, you're macking on his wife. You're going to get your ass kicked. I'm going to be here for it and count the fall. Whatever, dude. But yeah, Foley totally being suckered in by Hunter's baby facedom. It just this match has more threads than even when you really deep dive on it. It's very much that end of 2000 continual what the effing as the final third of the year progressed.
Definitely.
And yeah, Foley as referee is almost always good. I mean, there's countless graphics I've got of Foley's referee, including the one you mentioned. Oh, that'll be there later. But yeah, this one again, I forgot about this match. I forgot that Foley was the referee on this match until I saw it. It's like, oh, that's right, because he was suckered into that circle of hell by Hunter. So
we had Austin as 3.
I was gonna say
we had Foley as 2. Who could possibly be in that league?
It's got to be The Rock.
It is not The Rock.
It's not. Okay, it's got to be Hunter.
It is not Hunter.
Shit. Okay. Oh, well, I got close.
It's Sean. And you go back and you watch HBK referee his matches. 99.9% of the time, here's our one. He's a fucking biased goofball.
Oh my god.
Even in this match,
he was
biased.
He tried not to be. He did.
But this was the most straightforward match I feel Sean ever called.
Agreed.
And goddamn. Yeah. I don't know if y'all at home have noticed a theme, but if there is ever an opportunity for this match to be number 1, it has been number 1. There is a fucking reason for it.
Yeah. Like the image in my mind forever. When Sean super kicks Taker, Triple H hits the pedigree, Taker kicks out, Sean spazzes, does a rock stunner cell into the corner with his hands on his mouth. If you look to the right on the couch, I'm in the same goddamn position. Like, oh my God, I'm having a complete mental friggin' breakdown at the apartment because, oh my God, the streak almost ended because of bullshit.
Because he just got hit with Sweet Chin Music and the pedigree, and it still didn't keep him down.
And Sean was just so mad at his damn self for getting emotional and not, because Taker had put him in the Hell's Gate there for a second there to offset him. Sean was mad at his own internal struggle breaking down. And meanwhile, my entire struggle of life is going down on the couch next to Jay over here. Like, I'm just losing my shit at this point. To this day, seeing that graphic, talking about it, I got the goosies right now in this moment, freaking 10 years later. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And Sean as a special referee, like you said, was always what he was.
Yeah, but this especially during his commissioner era.
Oh my God, yes.
Especially during his commissioner era. Him coming out in his Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy crop top with his short shorts, shaking his booty around the ring.
Yeah.
Look, Sean, go away. No.
It's like
you're supposed to be injured. Get the F off my screen.
or at least put some goddamn clothes on, Sean. Crying out loud.
Yeah. The other one that I almost used was SummerSlam 97.
Yes,
Brett
another
Baker.
great. Again, you think about how much that match turned the wheels of history.
Yeah.
So, but this one leaps and bounds. My God.
Yeah. When it came down to my match graphic for HBK as ref, those were my two matches.
Love it. I love it.
You know, Brett Taker, Hunter Taker. Yeah. Do we sense a theme here? Yes. You know, forget about Brent and Hunter for a minute. It's still Sean refereeing Taker.
Yeah. You get Sean
and in both matches, Sean costs Taker the match. Counts that pinfall.
Yeah, right.
Because Taker loses the belt to Brett.
Oh, yeah.
Sets up the screw job.
Well, Sean directly caused Taker to lose at SummerSlam. This match here, number one. So yes, close. there was the interference. Close. You know, with it was close, but it was still very much Undertaker going.
Yeah, it was almost like Taker got his revenge for that match.
Right, exactly. Because you figure how you know. We all know that Hunter and Sean were buddy backstage even in '97, but but the click really hadn't formed on screen by that point yet. So, as far as in '97, the genesis of DX hadn't begun yet. So it was that chair shot of the Undertaker that really started the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So anyway, why are you worried about your list for? That was so good.
All right.
Jesus Christ! And you know what? It's so good. It's so good that I'm going to give you a hell of a pitch right now. Check this shit out. So not only was his list amazing, this guy can review a movie like no other motherfucker I know. And if you don't believe me, you only got to wait about 20-something days because April 1st, the return, Renegades Reviews.
We're back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that trailer for my first month back with Renegades Reviews. Jumping back into things, movies starring wrestlers. We've got the Condemned franchise. We've got See No Evil franchise. We've got the 12 Rounds franchise. We've got the Marine franchise. All 6 films, yes. We've got other little hidden gems like Money Plane and The Interrogator with Edge. We've got The Wrong Side of Town and House of the Rising Sun and Marauders with Batista. We've got RVD in a couple of flicks. We've even got the so bad Avengers of Justice Farce Wars, which, just to give y'all a little bit of, it is a parody of the Avengers, the Justice League, and Star Wars franchises, all kind of wrapped into one bubble. With Shawn Michaels as the Incredible Master Yoga. I did not stutter. I will just leave you with that. But as I've done in the past, you can't always just give the people 5-star classics. You've got to have those cheesy popcorn flicks, those dollar movie finds, and that's exactly where that one falls in. But I'm not going to talk much more about it because I want you to tune in and see my review of that episode. But yeah,
I want to review the graphic of that movie because it looks like that Joker guy is going to stick his tongue in Bruce Kent's ear, and Bruce Kent looks like his tongue's already in his ear. Just you wrong for that, Jay. Anyway, I know you didn't
make the image.
No,
that's just the way it is.
You are perpetuating that onto my audience's eyeballs. Shame. Anyway, but it's going to be a kick-ass one.
Your audience of wrestling fans, because this is a wrestling show this week, had to sit through Katie Vick. Do not give me crap about the jokester looking like he's sticking his tongue into Bruce Kent's ear, because that is still 100 times better than Katie Vick. Moving right
today, I didn't book either one of those, so the hell with it. Anyway,
nor did I.
Nor did you. This is true. Although you booked that movie on your schedule, so you're a little more complicit than I am.
I booked a Shawn Michaels movie for one of the WrestleMania dates in Texas.
Right. Of course, you have to condemn it
during Mania in Texas. I'm just saying.
And I am going to go on Vudu and watch The Condemned, free with ads, because I still haven't seen that shit the whole way through, thanks to my ex. So there you go. Damn it all to hell. But
hey, there's a lot of those movies that are on Vudu, Tubi.
Yep.
So if you've got access to either of those streaming services, they are your friend.
When we get closer, during that week when we're leading into WrestleMania week, which God, I can't believe we're only 20-something days away from Mania. It just blows my mind. Actually, no, we're March 4th, so we're still a good almost 30 days away, but that's okay. It's still just crazy that we're so close, and I will definitely get the links up like, hey, you can watch this one here, you can watch this one here. That way people can watch these movies and watch along with you like I did with Disney Month last year, I did with a lot of these things last year. So, but we digress. Again, you're worried about your list, man. I feel mine's, very much in the same vein as yours. I'm like, if he feels like that about his list, I'm going to worry about mine. But since I made you feel better about your list, I'm not so worried about that now. So there you go.
Yes. So it's always comforting to get that seal of approval from the West Coast professor.
There you go. So just so you feel even more bad about yourself, 1, technically 2, 3, technically 4. We share 4, kinda. And I'll explain why it's kind of when we get along the path here. But number 10 is one we don't share.
Okay.
Number 10 is the only celebrity that came in outside of WWE to be involved as a referee. And while he wasn't in the ring refereeing, he was still classified as a special referee. And I wouldn't say he's the greatest referee of all time, but he's definitely the greatest. Muhammad Ali at WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania. And I mean, is there anything more WrestleMania than the greatest fighter of all time raising the hand of the WWF champion, the flagship guy, the headlining guy of the rock and wrestling era, which led to WrestleMania? I mean, there it is. That is, and what's even cool is, I don't know where this image came from, but there's a WrestleMania ticket on there, which is kind of neat. Again, WrestleMania, the very first one, I said it when I made the post last year doing my binge, which I keep doing this to myself every year. I don't know why I do it, but I do. Vince put everything on the line on this show. They had the brawl in it all, the World Total Score on MTV, but Vince literally bet the farm on this show, and it paid off in spades, obviously. Because again, we're sitting here talking about it. It's going to be 40 years in a couple of years. God damn, dude.
I know, it's crazy to think about that.
WrestleMania 40 is the year after it's here, which is just, what? But the image of Muhammad Ali involved with WrestleMania, you had Liberace there, you had Billy Martin there, who, if you're not an outside of the Yankees fan, you're like, who the hell? But there's so many people involved in the construction of this event and of this match that everything just kind of seems hodgepodge looking back. But I mean, that's an image for all time. Muhammad Ali, the greatest, holding up Hulk Hogan's hand in victory after he wins the main event of WrestleMania. No, it wasn't a championship one-on-one match like it should have been, and we all agree on that. I think at this point it should have been Hogan and Piper straight up, but whatever. But it's Ali raising your hand. I mean, you get the torch passed, if you will, from the greatest fighter of all time to the greatest fighter of the modern time. So there you go. It's a great way to kick off your most successful era at that time.
I agree with that. I did debate about Ali, but you know me, I've never been a Hulkamaniac.
No, I know.
So I wasn't going to throw that on there.
No.
And I figured you would have it on there to be sure. So, it was one of those that I did technically contemplate.
Yep.
But
so totally get you, brother. So number 9, JJ mentioned earlier, we're not trying to ogle the female referees and be out. Well, I'm calling bullshit. I mean, it's like what the hell I'm doing right now. Royal Rumble 2006. You brought it up. Let's just get it out there right now. God damn. And the match actually was pretty decent. You had Mickie James versus Ashley Mazzaro in this match. Now, again, JJ went with match graphics, which I get that. I'm trying to focus on the referee themselves, which is what I did on my side of the list. So you're not going to get a whole bunch of match graphics, but you get a few as we go along here. Anyway, so Trish, again, very involved in the story because of Mickey's obsession with her and the entire storyline that started when Mickie debuted in WWE. And, you got one here where it's, she's, pointing to the crowd, but she's also looking back like, yep, I'm still the champ, bitches. Don't you forget it. And then there's the one on the left where she's got the whole confusion thing going because, and I just saw the picture you sent me of Trish, and I'm just going to stop for a second there and go right along. Very good. Wow. Bounty Hunters will be a must watch now. No, without a doubt. 100%.
Without question.
Right? Without question. Jesus. Anyway.
Let me just say for a minute before you keep going, leave that image up. Okay. It looks like Trish Stratus's borrowed HBK's shorts from his commissioner era refereeing.
And I'll allow it. I'm okay with it.
Because they look better on her than they do on him.
Goddamn right. What's great about Trish, as great as she became as a wrestler, as much as she got respect as a wrestler, she could still glam it up and look just so unbelievably beautiful. Like, holy crap. And you know what? What's great about Trish, and again, I'm going to gush just for a second.
Go ahead. Because as much as I was Team Lita, I know you were Team Trish.
And at the end of the day, both of them are such good people that it makes them 100 times more beautiful. Like, they're just such awesome people. Go ahead and
gush it up over Trish because she is worthy of gushing.
And like I said, we've both had the chance to meet our respective favorites, and they were awesome at the time we met them. So, I can't say enough good things about either one of them as a person. And both of them as a referee along the way, both did a great job in there. I mean, again, Lita's first adding the referee, it was what it was. It was disjointed. It was a mess of a match. But as all three of their careers progressed, Lita, having special referee got better along the way. Trish also was a good special referee when the time called for it. And they both look good. So there you go. All right. Number 8. Speaking of Miss Lita.
Okay.
She's not the referee, though. It was a match that she was involved in, though.
Okay.
And it was a defining moment in her life and her career, as a matter of fact.
I know where you're going with this.
I know you do. It was Lita challenging and defeating our dear Stephanie for the women's championship on Raw is War with another great one as the referee. Matter of fact, it was the great one.
Yes.
All up in Stephanie's face there, as you can see.
Yes.
Now, before I go on here, honorable mention is Rock refereeing on SmackDown. 1, 2, It doesn't matter if The Rock counts to 3.
Where he's dressed up in his $5,000 silk shirt and his pants, and he hits the people's elbow and slides to deliver it.
That moment, that segment was great, but this here is everything. The Rock's the WWF champion in this match. He's feuding with the McMahon Helmsleys because he does. And Lita is the benefactor of the shenanigans at the end of the day because she gets her first women's championship. It's a horrible picture, and I'm sorry about that. I couldn't find a really good. Yeah, remember, Raw as War in 2000 wasn't exactly HD television, folks. So, kind of was what it was, but you can see the emotion. You can see Amy being like, oh my God, I'm the WWF champion. Holy shit here. And The Rock was so good as a referee here. He didn't let Stephanie get away with the bullshit that she'd gotten away with for the previous 5 months. He was like, nah, this ain't going down like this no more. We're done with this crap. So
at this point in Raw history, all was right in my world because
my
two favorites were the WWF and the women's champion.
Exactly. And when you figure, I think at this point, ENC were the tag champions and they were entertaining as hell. They're always great tag team champions. They were entertaining as hell. Just everything was, and you had China, the Intercontinental champion again, not too far off from here, because Val was champion, I think, at this point, or this may have been after SummerSlam. I don't remember what day this was. If it was the 28th, like I'm remembering, then it was the day after SummerSlam this happened. So anyway, no, it could be the after SummerSlam because that was when Kurt carried Stephanie off with his concussed damn self. So, all right, number 7. Again, we're going to transition. Speaking of Stephanie, you had the match graphic. I have the match outfit. There you go. I mean, and again, there's that sinister Stephanie smile that here's one of mine for now. She's about to fuck shit up here because, nah. She's the jilted ex-wife. Hunter's done her, well, I can't say done her dirty because that's the whole the Jericho joke. But
hey-o.
Talk is Jericho. Anyway, I'm saying. Thank you, Chris. But yeah, Stephanie as the referee at No Way Out 2002, Triple H's title shot on the line at WrestleMania. She screws him out of the title shot. Kurt's going to WrestleMania. The night ends on a sour ass note. I mean, you've got Hunter being shafted out of his championship opportunity. You got the NWO robbing Austin of the championship at the very end of the night. Our heroes are in peril here at the end of this show. It's some bullshit. And then, Undertaker's
just
pissed
like
off.
any good cliffhanger, our heroes are in peril heading into the biggest show of the year. And will they get their revenge? Tune in next time. Same bad channel.
Yes. And of course, the next night, all was right in Hunter's world for the most part until, Jericho ran over his damn dog. You talk about a Jericho moment. God, Jericho got shit on not just because the dog shit in his lap. Good grief, what a horrible run that was at the end. But Stephanie as referee was Stephanie McMahon. Evil Stephanie as a referee was always good, whether it was Stephanie here or Authority Stephanie, because Stephanie, whether we like it or not, is the boss. And she will find a way to get what she wants. Not only is she the boss, at the time she was the $1 billion princess. Now she rules the queendom, so she's going to get her goddamn way no matter what.
Yes.
But yeah, she's awesome. We're going to stick the McMahons only in name, not in actual referee here, because I mentioned this is going to be brought back up again. So there you go. Mick Foley refereeing the McMahons at WrestleMania 17. Now, again, Foley's done a great job refereeing a lot of matches, including the tail end of Austin Rock at WrestleMania 15. Let's not forget that, as Mankind. But this was so much more emotional, this one. You figure Vince had displaced Foley as the commissioner on Christmas, no less. That damn Grinch Vince McMahon. Vince had driven his wife to a comatose vegetative state. He'd made out with Trish Stratus in front of his wheelchair-bound comatose wife.
And if we throw back up that image of Trish, you can understand why.
Well, I mean, this was 5 years after that, but
But she still looked the same, goddammit. She still
with all respect to Mrs. McMahon, because I do love that woman and she was very nice to me and mine. Yeah. Just leave it there. All right. Sorry, Linda. Love you. Mrs. McMahon. I love you though. I do. And then Shane comes back to, avenge his mother's wrongdoing. And at the end of it, he buys WCW out from under his father's nose just to shit in his Kool-Aid even more. And then Foley comes back and goes, hey, by the way, Linda signed a bunch of contracts before she, went into her little state of mind there. And one of the things she signed was, I get to referee whatever match I want at WrestleMania. I'm refereeing your match. The original intent here, from what I've read, was supposed to be Foley versus Vince at WrestleMania for control of the company, which they ended up doing a year later with McMahon and Flair, obviously. But yeah, Mick was so involved in this match emotionally and physically. It just came off so well. Mick as a referee was always a great thing to see and such a fun thing to watch. So exactly. I picked this one, but either way, Mick Foley's referee, you're going to have golden material.
And you always know that when Shane O'Mac is involved in a match, you're going to have that moment.
Oh, yeah. Always.
The match itself, start to finish, may not be the greatest match on the card. It may not be match of the night.
No.
But Shane O'Mac will give you the moment of the night.
And I dare say that's Vince's best match. I mean, really, that was probably his best one-on-one outing. And considering McMahon's one-on-one outings are what they are, Shane carried the old man, and good on him, man. But Shane did. Mick being there did. Trish being involved, Stephanie being involved, Linda with the crotch kick, it all works. It's all good. Now, you brought up my number 5 as part of your McMahon family trilogy, a trio. However, my Shane McMahon entry is a tie. Because as much as that match he refereed at Backlash 2000 was just so damn good, as I always tend to do when I talk about this particular era of the WWF, I got to give this match some love too. The previous Backlash, Austin versus Rock, ostensibly for the WWF Championship and control of the Smoking Skull Belt once and for all. Because if you recall, kids, settle in for your history lesson, kids. When Austin got chefed out of the championship the previous September, Vince had taken the Smoking Skull Belt and put it on his mantle in one of his homes. There you go. Taking notes. Very good. So when Austin became champion again at WrestleMania, of course, Steve looked at that belt and said, that shit ain't going to work. So he demanded his Smoking Skull Belt back. However, Vince, basically losing control of his company because of the Undertaker involvement, said, here, Shane, you do it. And that led to Shane taking control of the company and storyline and awarding the Smoking Skull Belt to The Rock, which is where we get with that graphic. There you go. There'll be a quiz later. Thank you very much. So I took it off screen just so I could watch you take it off. That was just funnier than hell. Anyway, I dare say, maybe a hot take here, the Backlash Rock Austin match was better than Mania 15. And that may be a hot take, but I stand by it. And I also stand by the fact that. Go ahead.
I agree with that.
I also take a hot take. It's like, could we not take an updated picture of Shane in a year? Could we get a better picture? I mean, it's the same friggin' picture. Like, Shane is a good-looking kid. Can we at least get a better image of Shane in a year's time? I mean,
how Stephanie changed within a year.
Or at least a different picture, because not only is that picture the same here, you fast forward to Over the Edge in the show we can't talk about on the air, it's the same picture of him when him and Vince are refereeing the Austin Undertaker match. God damn, I'm so glad they went to the freaking movie match graphics, because these freaking match graphic pictures are just pissing my ass off. Anyway.
No, I totally agree with you on Backlash being better than Mania 15, because for my money, the Mania 15 Rock Austin match is the weakest of the three.
Absolutely agree with that, too.
I would have to say that 17 is probably the best, despite the fact that 19 had that emotion and build up, and the fact that Austin checked himself out of the hospital, coming in. everything except Austin turning heel at the end of 17.
Yeah.
Everything else in that match was amazing. Then I would put 19, and then I would put 15.
See, I was all up in the feels watching 17 when it happened 21 years ago. God damn, we're getting old, Jay. Hell.
I know.
But with the benefit of hindsight, I think 19 told a better story. Not even counting the stuff we didn't know about till WrestleMania the movie came out a year later.
Yeah, true. True.
I think 19, because it was The Rock going, I've done every damn thing I've ever wanted to do in this business, except beat you at Mania. I've got to do that or I can't leave. Of course, he ended up leaving, damn him. But after jobbing to Goldberg, damn you, Dwayne. But yeah, I think 19 is a better match now. Looking back.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, honestly, it just depends on what day you catch me on. 15 is definitely the weakest, though, and I think we both can agree on that. But
which is why I'm so glad they did Backlash. And honestly, again, knowing how it turns out with Vince being, in league with everything all along and the greater power, but the initial displacement of Vince as the leader and Shane doing his thing here, and Vince still, playing the role he wanted to play and handing the belt to Steve, basically. Great story here and a great match on top of it. So there you go. And then again, Backlash 2000 again. Is there anything more Attitude Era than that match graphic, let alone that match? I mean,
seriously.
So there you go. All right. Now, number 5, you use match graphics throughout, and I applaud that. That's good shit.
But good shit.
For my number 5, I had to get a screen capture because it's one of those where we get the moment everybody talks about when it comes to this person. The Adam's Apple Bob. There it is. That thing is wiggling his throat. He's scared to death. He about to die. Over the Edge 98. Austin, McMahon refereeing Austin and Dude Love. And let's not undersell Vince here because he took that chair shot to the head like a champ, man. Foley racked him upside the skull like Vince owed him more money than he already did. God damn. That fool hit like seriously, it was ridiculous. He
cracked Vince like Vince owed him more money than Paul Heyman owed the ECW wrestlers.
Still, but yeah, just a great outing by Vince, a great refereeing job, and just a great, a fun match. That's the thing with Dude and Austin wrestling over the edge. It was a fun match to watch.
Agreed.
And Vince and Jerry and Pat and Undertaker, let's not forget him being there. Again, everybody involved made the story work together. So good stuff. All right. Number 3 is somebody that, given your relative newness to being a wrestling fan at the time this happened, you were only a year in when this person refereed the last time he refereed on television. So I get it. And yes, it is somebody coming in from the outside, technically speaking.
If you're about to throw up what I think you're about to throw up, I did contemplate it.
Okay.
Because you're about to throw up Jesse Ventura from SummerSlam 99, right?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yes.
I did contemplate that.
Right.
However, Jesse's refereeing of the match and how steadfast he was, and I just didn't like it.
Okay.
I just didn't like it. The fact that he refused to count pinfalls for Hunter, and right. I understand they're trying to weave this bigger story, but right. God damn it, this should have been Hunter's night. Well, and it wasn't. And so they had to give it to him the next night on Raw and make Mankind an interim 24-hour champion instead. And I just always thought that was such bullshit.
Well, And
why
again,
I didn't put it on my list.
And again, the benefit of hindsight, Steve's going in with a knee injury. He's banged up. He didn't feel confident in him and Hunter going toe-to-toe one-on-one and carrying a main event like they should have, which is why they had that whole number one contender story throughout the whole month. So.
Which is fine. So you add Foley to the match. You have Hunter pin Mick. Right. Then you've got the rematch belt and Austin saying that I never lost my belt.
Right.
He pinned Mankind. He didn't beat me. I want my match.
Which is what, and we got the match at No Mercy. And again, that one felt disjointed too. Kind of like the Hardys match. It was like, okay. But yeah, I like Jesse in this. He gets up in China's face, which looking back, it's like, are you crazy, Ventura?
Which we all know that he is. So, there's that.
Throwing Shane out of the ring. That was for your old man, you little bastard. I go back and go, that's great. I love that shit.
But yeah, I did contemplate this.
Again, being a more old school fan, like I appreciated it because it was Jesse coming home after the lawsuits, after the bullshit, after the drama, and telling his people in his state, hey, y'all want to crap me for being here? Fine. I'm a wrestler. I was proud to be a wrestler. I'm still a wrestler in my heart. So it's like, piss on you if you don't like it. And he's running the state. He's telling his constituents, you don't like me? Tough shit. Like, Jesse, hold on there. You're gonna mucker further your whole your campaign here, but okay, cool. But yeah, I like it. It's definitely a guilty pleasure on my list, no doubt about it. And it's only so high because of all the parties involved.
No worries. To each their own. Subjective.
That's it.
As we always say, before you get on to your next one, what do you guys think about this one? Where do you stand with this match being on the list? Do you kind of agree with where I'm coming from on it? Or do you take Jeff's side and you feel like it's definitely worthy of inclusion? Let us know. If you're watching live, leave your comments over there. If you're watching on demand, down where? Down here.
Number 2, in part, was your number 1.
Okay.
Because I pushed out and did a 4-way tie.
God damn you, Meechum.
I know. I don't care. It's my channel. Damn, I'm invoking executive privilege. I don't give a shit. I just couldn't decide because they're all so good. Granted, the Mania match at 28 in 2012 was just by and large the best, no doubt about it. But SummerSlam '97, again, the wheels of history were turning at this point. It's definitely a pivot point in all 3 of their careers. The one on SmackDown, to this day, you go, holy shit, what the hell just happened? Because, Shawn super kicked Rock literally mid-stride on the people's elbow. You did not see it coming. It was like, what in the hell? Judgment Day, again, I love the Iron Man match. I always have. And the Undertaker's return being involved in that. And it was just so well done. But End of an Era was what it was. End of an Era was so, so beautiful. So well done. So
here's my hot take on this. Okay. I'm about to rank these matches.
Okay. Well, okay. And again, but before you do, keep in mind, my thought process for this show was the special referee in and of himself or herself.
Right. So, but I'm gonna rank these matches in my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. And I want to see where you are with me on this.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And I'm trying to go more so based on HBK's refereeing, since we are talking about ref. But, it's hard for the match as a whole not to play more of a role into this as well.
Well, of course.
But so number 4, I'm going to say the SmackDown match.
Okay.
Number 3, I'm going to go with Iron Man. Number 2, SummerSlam, and number 1, Mania.
I will agree. I fully agree with that. 100%. They're all good in their own way. I'll dare say they're all great in their own way. But The SmackDown match, again, the SmackDown match is more of the moment with Shawn than it is the match. Iron Man is great. And again, you have to be a special kind of talent to have an Iron Man match. You have to be a Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. You have to be a Triple H Rock. You have to be a Randy Orton, John Cena.
Which is funny because when you think about it, you don't really think of Rocky as being the guy that can go in an Iron Man match.
Then you're correct. And let me elaborate. Dwayne Johnson's conditioning now, I'm match every freaking day and not even break stride. I mean, it's crazy how in shape that guy is, and he's turning 50 in a few months. As we talked about for dads and for renegades, it's going to be Dewey month coming up in May.
Yes,
it's going to be May, but not for Justin Timberlake. Anyway,
I'm looking forward to the month of May. But anyways,
oh my god. Anyway, all right. Anyway, so but yeah, again. You said everything I would want to say about the end of an era match because we were both not in Florida like Greg and Jen Cherry, obviously, but we were just as much there as anybody, man. From the minute that show started and our friend got his head kicked the hell off in 18 seconds, which sent me into a tailspin already, to that match, to the Rock's victory at the end. Just that whole show was just an emotional muckerfucker.
Agreed.
So, but that match in particular was very, very hard on everybody. So now begs the question from you, I'm sure, and from the people watching at home. If that match is so important to me and so much a part of my wrestling emotional makeup, what the hell could be a better special guest referee moment?
Yeah, I'm curious because you've already had Foley, you've already had Michaels. Dare I say, like I said on my list, they are neck and neck for number one. So I'm definitely curious who your number one is, Meacham. Tell us.
Well, I think you disregarded this or didn't consider this as being on your list because by the time this situation happened, your fandom was already starting to phase away. But I will never forget being across the street from where this took place and watching it on my little bitty screen, no bigger than this one I'm using right now, and watching this unfold in front of me and in front of the world. I was going from, oh my God, dude, our guy's the WWE champion, holy shit, to no, Hunter, no, within about 10 minutes. Triple H refereeing at SummerSlam 2013 is my number one because of that very reaction. Because we were all convinced, hands down, that Triple H was going to be the babyface authority figure that his father-in-law had never been, really, that his brother-in-law and his wife, really would never be. And Bryan beats John Cena in the middle of our building, Jay. The place once known as Staples Center, now known as the Crypt, of course. And he's look, Hunter's got a smile on his face. He's happy that he gets to be a part of this moment. And then you go to the right, and he caused that. Triple H spun our boy around, booted him in his goat gut, dropped him on his head, and enabled Orton to cash in the Money in the Bank contract and become the champion for an unnecessary amount of times again. God damn it, Hunter. Why? Why? It wasn't best for business. It ended up being best for business, obviously. But in that moment, you're just going, no. Please, God, no. That's right. I'm even getting teary now talking about it. Shit. That's why it's number one. And considering you were in that audience, I am surprised. I really am.
It wasn't I don't remember being at that one. I'm not going to say that I wasn't there, but I don't remember being at that one. I know I was at 2010 with the Nexus one. Mm-hmm. I wasn't at 2009. I put out the hints about it, but no one bid on them. But so 2010,
no, because
Teresa and I were like 6th row on camera pretty much the entire show. I know I was at 2010 with the Nexus one. I know I was at 2011 when Kevin Nash came out, jackknifed, Punk and Del Rio cashed in. And I know I was at 2012.
Yeah, you were. I was on site with you, and then I went back to the apartment and watched on TV because I didn't have a ticket for that night. But I was there with you.
Don't remember being at 13.
I could have sworn because I only remember being at 13 because that was my unofficial official return to No DQ, and we had the big after party. And and again, I'm not trying to speak out of class here, but what was the Hooters party where we had your friend there, and he said F Jeff Meacham in front of Dylan and his mom? Was it? I could have sworn that was 13 because that was the one that was upstairs.
But I don't remember going to that. The only No DQ I remember going to was the 2011.
I could have sworn we did a Dad's episode up there in the upstairs part of Hooters that night.
I don't recall.
Huh. Well,
I don't recall.
Either way, I am surprised it wasn't on the list at all because it wasn't LA SummerSlam. It is our boy Danielson. It is Triple H, just totally breaking all our damn hearts. So,
and that may be why I forgot to include it, was because it took away the moment so much. I was like, no.
Seriously, that build between that night and Mania was so draining on my heart because we both, all of us in a way were close with Brian throughout his PWG run and when he went to WWE or whatever, but it was just it wasn't near as heartbreaking as not being there when Rob became champion, when Brian won at WrestleMania and actually had the big moment in New Orleans, but it was close. I'm not going to lie. But that moment, knowing that I was just down the street from it and I wasn't there to see him actually be awarded the top prize in WWE for the very first time, and then to have it turned on him in a moment, it was like, ugh. So just a very emotional night again.
Yeah, I'm looking at the results for the card as we speak, and I don't remember seeing these live because I would remember Brock versus Punk live.
I would. That was 13. Yeah, that's right. Okay, maybe I'm just placing you there because you were always there. Maybe I'm just putting
possible. It's possible. Yeah, see, I remember 2012 because I remember it was the one where me and Mike were kind of like off the stage and kind of like restricted seats.
Right, yeah.
And I remember Cesaro and Santino. I remember Brian Kane. I remember Miz Mysterio. I remember Punk versus Show and Cena. Lesnar, Triple H. I remember all of that.
Okay. Well, I put you there and you weren't there.
The other one live.
Yeah, I know you weren't there for 14 because I know you would have been there for me if you could have been. 14 was really bad. Anyway, but yeah, that's my enduring special referee moment. Looking back now, and again, here we go with the spine curving. That was 9 years ago.
I know.
Ridiculous.
Almost a decade ago.
Yeah. And when you think about it, that's another good transition because we're talking about getting old. We all get old and eventually we all die. It is a thing. There is no immortal humans that we know of unless you watch the MCU or, whatever. But there's arguably no greater scene in a movie or a television show that you're emotionally invested in to your core than a death scene. And in 2 weeks, right here on Dad's, not always on wrestling, JJ and I are going to reveal our picks for the top 10. I have a top 10. We're just going to, we will have an actual top 10 because that's what we do on this show. But the greatest death scenes in movie and TV history.
Yes.
And
I'm looking forward to this one. I've been trying to rack my brain. We've already mentioned this is being taped in advance. I've been trying to rack my brain, trying to
Right.
come up with some really solid
Yes.
choices without just committing to the horror movie genre.
Right.
Because there's so many good ones in
Oh
horror.
my God, yes. Yep.
That you could just go through the Halloween saga and pick 10 death scenes and be like, okay, I'm done.
Right. I will say this about my. Let me see if I can
But
find it.
I'm trying to rack my brain and come up with some really, really solid stuff.
As far as mine goes, I do not have a single moment from a horror movie.
Well, as it stands right now, I have one.
Okay.
I may have more by the time we actually get together, film that one, and it makes air. But as of now, I definitely have one.
Yeah. And I also, when I was looking for mine, tried to have, like you said, variety. Not all of mine are, oh my God, doom and gloom. It's horrible. It's going to tear your guts to pieces. A lot of them are funnier than hell, to be honest with you. So, because you
That's
have
good.
to find, sometimes, you can't always have doom and gloom. You got to be able to find the humor in some of this stuff, or you're going to drive yourself bananas. So, I made it a point to spice mine up with variety. That way it wasn't, for if my part goes an hour of doom and gloom, because that's just depressing to watch on a Friday. So, but I also will say this, as you were talking about going through, people are gonna wonder why that particular topic on that particular day. Well, there's a very good reason for that, and I'm trying to get the graphic up here as I talk here, so bear with me.
Yes, because Jeff did his homework.
I
He
did
did
do
his
my homework.
research, and he tried to make our topics center around something that was happening within that month.
And as I always do, I try to make it wrestling centric because it's a wrestling channel. And yes, it's not always on wrestling, but the dad's not always on wrestling. So that day, and again, here we go with the spine curving again.
Yes.
21 years ago, that day was the final WCW pay-per-view, as WCW had its own death 8 days later. So technically it was 5 days later because of the purchase, but
and it's funny to think about it now that the final pay-per-view was called Greed.
Right.
It's like subtle jab here.
Right.
The greed of the McMahons for now having a monopoly on the company.
Yeah. I mean,
but the show had already been named that for a while, so they couldn't have known.
Right.
But it's just the hindsight irony.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, from the moment the negotiation started in the fall, it was almost like it was a matter of when Vince said, okay, what will it take? And, the sale was imminent. So, yeah. That's why I picked that for that day. It was a Friday. I thought, okay, well, we do shows on Friday. Let's see what. Oh, okay. Well, haven't mentioned this on the show before. Hell with it. So there it is.
And then our April ones, are because of Mania. Our May ones are centered around The Rock for his birthday. I'm going too quickly because now you're throwing up the graphics there. Go ahead.
Sorry. But yeah, I mean, WrestleMania week.
Top 10 WrestleMania entrances. I mean, come on. WrestleMania has got some of the best entrances of all time.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Without question, Jay.
I'm going to be, you know what? I'm throwing this out there. Maybe we should see if we can get a special guest to come in on that one with us, just so we have a third mind on the topic.
Okay.
Because you think of WrestleMania, you think about outside involvement, you think about celebrities, you think about stuff like that. So maybe let's reach out to our circle of the Jeff Meacham Network / Casa family. Let's see if we can bring in somebody else to talk about the entrances with us.
Oh, I think WrestleMania entrances, I think about one person in particular, and I think of somebody that would be able to wax proxy very well on that person. But we'll go ahead and see what happens there as we move along. And then, in the middle of the month, baseball's in full swing, and it happens to be that our non-wrestling show falls on April 15th, Jackie Robinson Day, which is, I don't think it's ever happened with us before. So,
no.
So we got top 10 all-time baseball players, straight to the point. Who's your favorite baseball player of all time? There you go.
That's going to be an interesting one for debate because I haven't been a huge baseball fan since I was a kid.
Right.
Since I was like between like 8 and 10 years old.
Right.
So there are a slew of people that have come since my heyday of baseball.
Right.
That I know of in name from passing. Right. But they may not make my list because I wasn't a huge ball fan back then.
Right.
There's guys that play today that I may not have on my list because I don't really follow baseball these days.
Yep.
So that's another one that's going to be hugely subjective. And I know we're going to get a lot of feedback on that one. I'm looking forward.
Damn. And then we talked about a couple matches from this pay-per-view's history earlier in the day. So we're going to wrap up April with our second wrestling show because it is April, so we got 2 Wrestling Fridays. Top 10 matches in the history of not WrestleMania Backlash necessarily. Good grief, folks, but Backlash.
And I'm just going to say this right here, right now. Jeff, don't say it out loud, but if you know me and if you know my history with Backlash, you should already know what my number 1 is.
I know this.
That's for the fans to know. I actually want to see some comments for those out there that have been paying attention to the show. Over here, if you're watching live, down here, if you're watching on demand. What is the Renegades' number 1 Backlash match? And you know what? I don't know for sure yet, so I may be talking out my ass, but I might just have a little prize if somebody can actually get it right.
There you go. Fancy.
I might come up with a little prize, a little movie prize to give away here if someone can get it right.
You know what? You are just handing me the transitions all day. I love that shit. Speaking of
Jeff,
Renegade, yes,
make it so.
Make it so. Speaking of Renegade in movies, do not forget, check out our buddy's channel here, man. The Cassadine Studios. It's been around forever, it feels like. But Renegades Reviews is coming back April 1st. We talked about it all day. Catch up on your stuff. If you haven't seen these episodes yet, you got to get caught up, man, because they are great. He's done so many reviews just since his official comeback last year. And now he's in full swing, coming back. Gangbusters. The same day we're doing our WrestleMania entrances will be the very first return episode. And again, it's going to be on Wrong Side of Town, correct?
Yes.
There you go. So not only do you get WrestleMania entrances, but you get a starring vehicle with Rob Van Dam on the Renegades Reviews channel an hour before. It's all good stuff coming up on April 1st, folks. So
316 episodes to date have aired since my relaunch. We want to talk about how we tie things to wrestling. The good old 316, baby.
And then if you go back before that, that's where you'll find all these. So it's all good shit, pal. It all is. And a lot of them are on my channel too, Grant. And I encourage you guys to go back and watch that because some of the stuff we talked about back then probably wouldn't dare put our toes in the water on those at this point because they're not quite XMV taboo, but they get there sometimes. So yeah, feel free to go watch those. Give them some love, comments, likes, dislikes. Hell, you wanna comment about it? Let me know. Shit, tell me how you feel about it. I don't give a shit. Please let me know what you think. And I want the feedback. We both want the feedback. That's the whole point.
Please. So
anyway.
Until next time, right here on the Jeff Meacham Network, as well as the Casa D18 Studios channel. I am the Renegade JJ Williams. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Meacham, the West Coast Professor. And together we are the Dads, not always on wrestling. And we will see you guys next time.